Back in my RPG playing prime, the first 3 Wild Arms games were appealing to a niche group of RPG fans who really appreciated their interesting story, puzzles, and especially the introduction of themes from the American West. But when Wild Arms 4 came out in 2005, it was a big shock to most of these fans, because it represented such a big departure. The Western motif is gone entirely, replaced with a fully futuristic setting. But not only that, the combat system was entirely revamped too. These two things were a big risk for the series for sure, but did they work out? I'll cover all aspects of Wild Arms 4 and let you know the answer to that question in this video. But before I get into all that, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your memories of Wild Arms 4 in the comments below. Wild Arms 4 takes place both above and on Filgaia, the same location of the previous games in the series. And I say above Filgaia as well because Jude Maverick, the main character, comes from Seal, a town enclosed in a sphere floating high above the ground. He goes along living a happy life, but one day his entire conception of reality is shattered when he sees Bryonic ships rip through the sky and into his world. Out of curiosity, he sneaks inside one of the ships where he finds Yuli, a mysterious girl who appears to have been taken prisoner by the Bryonics. Jude finds a mysterious arm to fight against the Bryonics, but they eventually succeed in destroying Seal. In the aftermath of the tragedy, he departs in escape pods with Yuli and Arnaud, the drifter assigned to protect the mysterious girl. Their adventure begins in earnest as they set out to uncover the motives of the Bryonics and thwart their plans to endanger Filgaia. Combat is where Wild Arms 4 really did reinvent the wheel, because its hex-based battle system is definitely one of the most unique I've ever seen from a turn-based RPG. The way it works is that each battlefield is comprised of 7 hexagons, and your characters, enemies, and sometimes obstacles and objects are placed in random places. And the placement actually makes a ton of difference too. It can even determine whether the fight is even winnable in the first place. On a character's turn, you can move onto any adjacent, unoccupied hex so long as an enemy isn't on it. This means that you can join an ally on a hex as well. You can only attack enemies on an adjacent hex, and when there's multiple enemies on that hex, they all get hit by attacks. So maximizing this strategy is the key to plowing through everything. The only downside is that enemy attacks onto allied hex also hit all of your allies standing there, so you really need to plan around this possibility. Bosses also have their own unique abilities that blow the power of the normal enemies out of the water. They can do things like move out of the hex in time to evade your attacks, unleash super powerful attacks of their own, counterattack, or even do things like spawn adds. I liked how each and every boss encounter is so different. It seems like they actually put a lot of design time into this, and you really have to consider positioning for both offensive and defensive purposes. Unlike Wild Arms 3, Wild Arms 4 gives you one overarching force meter for all characters on the right side of the screen. When you gain enough FP, you can use force abilities that are specific to each character. However, you can also unlock hidden combination force abilities called combination arts at random when characters and combinations are standing in the same hex. Some combination arts involve 2 characters, others involve 3, and there are even 2 combination arts that involve all 4 characters. The combat animations for these attacks are pretty epic too, with some of them taking longer than I'd want, but they're super powerful. Each character has a specific set of abilities that they gain as they level, which is a lot more basic than the Guardian system from Wild Arms 3, but also gives each character a defined role and function. At a high-level view, Jude is the quick attacker, Yuli is the healer, Arnaud is the offensive magic specialist, and Raquel is the hard-hitting powerhouse. Arms can be upgraded at save points by using components called altar points that you find throughout the game, and you can actually choose whether to upgrade attack power, which increases your damage, or action, which allows you to make multiple hits. Dragon fossils also allow you to upgrade the accuracy, critical hit, bullets, and usability ratings of your arms. So you can really customize each character's weaponry the way you want, and this was really cool. The other form of customization that comes into play is the character growth chart. a system that allows you to allocate points gained through leveling into your character's power. You gain 1 point with each level up, and you can allocate points to acquire skills quicker than you would through normal leveling. This was a fun way to get the target abilities you always wanted to get, but it comes at the expense of other skills too. When you actually get to the level where the skill is normally learned, the points are refunded to you as well to reallocate into other skills. One more thing too, if the future story and revamped battle system didn't throw you off, Wild Arms 4 also incorporates the ability to both slide and jump for the first time. This means that when you're exploring the world, you'll have to do a lot of platforming, and you can fall in many places. This is a huge change from other games in the Wild Arms series, and really gave me some Tower of Babel vibes from Xenogears. It's also kind of funky how the game just transitions into this mode from the roaming 3D world. When it comes down to it, I have mixed opinions on Wild Arms 4, with some negatives and some things that genuinely impressed me. The story was an interesting concept, but there isn't much actual direction at times, and I really missed the Wild West flavor. That said, the hex-based battle system gets big creativity points, as it worked like nothing I had ever seen before and was actually fun. I didn't like the platforming because I think the game would have worked better as a traditional Wild Arms game where you use tools to solve the puzzles rather than action platforming. There isn't any world map at all, which sounds like it would kind of suck, but this means that the stupid search system from the previous Wild Arms games is out the window too, so that is a big win. I also found Raquel to be way too powerful. She is pretty slow, but her attacks are uber strong, and you can get around her speed deficiency through various buffs. Even so, the characters are fairly interesting, and the soundtrack is quality as well. It was done by the same team that did the previous games. This was the Wild Arms game that took the most risks, and some love it for that. But I think outside of the innovative combat, I would take the feel of the first 3 Wild Arms games over this one. If turn-based RPGs are your jam, you'll still want to give this one a try. Otherwise, there are several in this genre that are far better on the PlayStation 2. But what did you think about Wild Arms 4? How do you think it compares to the rest of the series? Let me know in a comment below. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell below for more retro gaming content. Also, big shout out to my Patreon patrons and YouTube members, I really appreciate your support. If you're watching this video and you want early access to the videos I produce and other perks like they receive, please consider supporting the channel by becoming a Patreon patron or via the YouTube Join feature.